Say it. Go for it. Let's start. Okay, so first let's introduce ourselves. So let's say hi. Hi. Go. You're the one with the microphone on. You start.
I'm
and then you mute,
introducing.
and I start. Yes.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, when we two parted. Hi, my name is Olivia, and Jinyao and Kyle are my teammates, and we are going to introduce this poem.
We will start with the
We
reading of
will
this poem.
start with a reading of this.
When we two parted in silence and tears, half broken hearted, to 7 12 years, 4 years, how through my cheeks went cold, colder thy kiss, truly again hours were cold, sorrow to this, the dew
Go
of
to
the
this.
morning,
The
sun
dew
chill
of the
on my
morning
brow,
sunk chill
it
on
felt
my
like
brow.
the
It
warning
felt like the
of what I
warning
feel now,
of what
thy
I feel
vows
now.
are
Thy
all
vows
broken,
are
and
all
lights is
broken, and light
thy
is
firm.
thy
I
friend.
heard thy
I
name
heard thy
spoken, and
name
sure
spoken, and sure
in a shame.
in
It
a
came
shame. It came
before me,
before
and
me,
revealed
they
to my
kneel
ear.
to my
A
ear. A
shudder comes
shudder comes
o'er me.
o'er
Why
me.
words
Why
go
words
so dear?
go so
They
dear?
know
They
not
know
I knew
not
thee,
I knew
who
thee,
knew
who
too
knew
well.
thee too
Long,
well.
long
Long,
shall I
long
run
shall
thee,
I
too
run thee,
deeply to
too
tell,
deeply
the
to
secret
tell
we
the
meet.
secret we meet.
In silence I
In
greet.
silence I
That's why
greet. That's why
that's
that's the
could forget.
hearts could
Thy
forget.
spirits
Thy
deceive.
spirits
If I should
deceive.
meet thee after long
If I
years,
should meet
how
thee
should I
after
greet
long
you? With
years,
silence and tears.
how should I greet you? With silence and tears.
Everyone else can accept, but keep the volume on. Okay. The background of this
The
poem,
background of this poem,
after
after
some
some
research,
research, we found that
Lord Byron,
Lord Byron, a celebrity from
early
early
to
to late 1800s,
was flirting with a married woman
was
named
flirting with a
Frances
married woman
Waterburn
named
Webster.
Frances Waterburn Webster. And there's evidence that in places like line 13, where it says, "Thy vows are all broken," or line 25, where it says, "In secret we met," he is referring to her and their love story. Um, Lord Byron wrote this to become reminiscent of the forbidden love that they had between the two of them. This was before the woman was discovered cheating with a famous general named Duke of Wellington. Um, and I really would like to imagine the emotional complexity that Lord Byron must have felt that she had left Lord Byron for another man. The speaker is from the perspective of Lord Byron, reminiscent of their relationship. We can see that in places like line 13 and 25, as I labeled here, where it says stuff like, "Thy vows are all broken," or "In secret we met."
Okay, the theme of this poem is love, and it is mainly about heartbroken. Looking from a future retrospective point of view to consider that the relationship of two secret lovers were like after long years. Um, the significance of this theme is that the lines entail a lot of emotions and imply many untold stories left to the reader's imagination. For example, in line 27, "The heart could forget," or the title "When We Two Parted," show his recollection of the emotions he left when they broken up. As human beings, we know that we will love people, but sometimes we don't get the love back, and I think that's mainly what the poem is trying to talk about. It is showing how two lovers cannot love each other anymore, and they broken up and leaving two people. Well, if the background was like Jinyao said, he left Lord Byron with another man, then maybe Lord Byron was the only one that was heartbroken.
we can see what she's talking about in lines 8, 16, and 27. Could you read that, Kyle?
Those three lines?
Those 3 lines?
Line 8.
Look at the lines labeled
Sorrow to this, and sure in shame, that day heart could forget. I think the tone of this poem gives off the emotional pain and realization that he must have been going through. I think it gives the thought of feeling or growth, because when we reflect on our past relationships and instances, we grow as people in consciousness and understanding. I think it connects well to the theme that I identified, because we often reflect on the relationships and reflect our roles in them and the dumb choices we made, the nice things that happened. This tone can be shown by places like half broken hearted, or it felt like the warning, or in silence I grieve. The tone of, oh, I'm so sad, like I can see it. So there was a lot of imagery in this poem, and that's a part of Lord Byron's literary excellence. For example, in line 10, sunk chill on my brow, he uses senses with touch. You can see that over here. The feeling of coldness is symbolizing of the coldness of their relationship and their what is to come. Yes. And then in 918, a knell to mine ear is also senses, because you hear it. And the significance of using the word knell here is because knells are funeral bells, and he's basically saying hearing her name is like hearing a funeral bell, because it makes me want to die of emotional reminiscence. I think it definitely helps convey the tone of emotional pain in relationship and reflection and realization. You understand that it's goodbye when the funeral bell rings. He also uses rhyming. I think the significance of rhyming in this form of lyrical poetry is that it sounds orchestrated and fluent. And I think that also creates a contrast to the complex and perplexing emotions that you can feel in a breakup, and it highlights that emotion by being contrasted. Like, this poem is so well organized, but the emotions in this poem is so complex and special. In secret we met, in silence I grieve, that thy heart could forget, thy spirit deceive. I also observe some metaphor in the poems. For example, pale grew my cheek and colder thy kiss in line 6. The temperature of the kiss symbolizes coldness in the relationship between them, making the audience feel the freezing feeling of a breakup, where you feel like you have no emotional control of your body. I would like you guys to imagine what it's like to go through a breakup. You just want to go to sleep and never want to wake up. And I think coldness and like being frozen and not being able to control your body is a good parallel and similar feeling to that, except for different reasons. And I think that helps give the feeling to the audience. The form of this poem is a lyrical poetry, so it has the rhyming structure of A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D. I think the structure itself has the significance of delivering a satisfying emotional payoff, and it has a great feeling to it. And stop lines are also used to make rhythm and signify sentences. For example, as I mentioned, how shall I meet thee, or colder thy kiss, are all uses of end stop lines to signify the center of the author's thought. We can go back here and see these lines. Okay. So we each thought we should just explain what we felt when we read this poem one by one to try to understand Lord Byron's feelings. So let's start with Olivia.
Okay, so when I read this poem, I first felt a lot of heartbreaks and feelings like you can't get the person you love to love you back, which is very heartbreaking. And from what Lord Byron describes a breakup is like, you can feel it when you when you experience loss of love, you can relate to it and you feel very comfort.
Kyle, your turn.
My feelings
My feelings on the poem can be summarized as Lord Byron relationship didn't work out, and sometimes sometimes when two person don't like each other anymore, they just part away, and it might be for different reasons, but clearly Lord Byron wasn't really happy about it.
When reading the poem, I myself felt of the difference in moral thought back then and now, because when I'm reading it now, I'm thinking, oh, Lord Byron's getting mad that a woman that's cheating on her no longer wants to go on dates with her. But I understand that in a historical context, because marriages were so political, they were often forced and they didn't actually have meaningful relationships. So because of that, I think that's why Lord Byron was so sad about it, as compared to now when I'm looking at it from the modern side. I consider more of how it was complicated and probably whining, but that's the difference in historical perspective that I observe. Okay, so we thought that we could use the results of what we
started by looking for an object. But no, can you find an object? We started by looking for an object.
We started by looking for an object. The object that I chose was a water bottle as a metaphor. I always lost my water bottle, and I always wanted to explore the parallels between me and my water bottle. How I always felt like abandoned in my water bottle, like probably felt abandoned when I lost it. And I think using my emotions and giving it to an object helps me convey my emotions much better. And I think that's one thing that lyrical poetry can do.
The object that I chose was juice because I used simile to show how life is like a bottle of juice. I used this because the process of making juice is like literally squeezing the time out to make things that are important to you. Yeah.
Okay, what do you think? Go. Talk about your object, the empty hallway.
So the object I chose was an empty hallway. I like to imagine the hallway as an endless tunnel. Time passes by without anyone noticing. It makes you feel lonely and ominous whenever you see a tunnel.
And then we decided on an ABABCBCD rhyming structure with 8 syllables. This also helped to achieve the rhythmic feeling of lyrical poetry. And it's also same as Lord Byron's rhyming structure, so I drew inspiration from that. I also helped achieve the rhythmic feeling of lyrical poetry through choosing a theme that is same throughout the entire poem of different stanzas. We were inspired by Lord Byron and his choice to choose recent surroundings for the theme, and we decided to talk about our teenage life because it's something that we each have varying perspectives on, but at the same time, it's something that connects us together because we're all teenagers, and we felt like we could express the different feelings we have as teenagers. So Olivia's going to read our poem.
Okay. An uninhabited canteen, like a chubby half-full bottle. That this what it like to be 18. Our life still stays so full throttle. Throttle? Throttle. My canteen sits on a table. An entirely empty desk. He picks it up. Me unstable. Burn temp. I fell. Death. What is this? Death Venice-esque. Life is like a bottle of juice. We need to squeeze our time out, working with no extra excuse. And fight living and fighting, do not shout. Sitting in a room till noon. Tick-tack, the time fastly counts. Do things that we care about soon. Choosing your pathway and be proud. The empty, slumbering hallway. Time flow through feelings corridor. A voice echo through the walkway. No shade with the cemented door. Sitting down, though the passage of time. The hour passing, counting o'clock. Tick-tock, time is up, overtime. Waves flock the shaft, knocking the lock.
I'm inspired by the varying perspectives us as different humans could write a poem together as. We got to all weigh in our thoughts on teenage life, and the title is I Feel Like, because I feel that would be a natural prompt, just like when we two parted. Like when you're trying to explain how you feel, you can be I feel like, and then like the poem comes out. I think that's similar to when Lord Byron kind of used when we two parted, like when we two parted, and then like talk about how he felt about that. So for my own verse that Olivia just read, in line 1 and 2, I'm an extended metaphor of a water bottle who is lonely and feels self-deprecating because of body image. I'm gonna open the poem here. An uninhabited canteen, just like a water bottle that doesn't have any water in it, and like a chubby half-full bottle, as you can see. I keep a pessimistic tone because that's what I observe in teenage life, just like how the reminiscent tone is what Lord Byron saw in his relationship. I used modern terms just like this that are special to my generation, such as temp and 9/8. You can see that, and also similar to how Lord Byron used words like thy and thee, which are how people talked back then. In line 6, I used alliteration eternally empty because that strengthens the feeling of emptiness that teenagers often feel and draws more attention to it compared to the rest of the stanza. An internally empty desk, as you can see over here. I also use allusion to Death in Venice, a famous Shakespeare play that is also about lost love, which is the second part of my stanza. I think allusion to real life is important to a play because it allows the audience to form a lot of context and imagination to what the play actually is without me using the limited words I can in a lyrical poem to guide them to do that. Or I am guiding them, but not like telling them exactly what to do. Okay. This is my stanza, as you can read it again.
Okay, second verse. I use simile for the first sentence of my poem, saying life is like a bottle of juice. I use that simile because in lifetime is flying so quickly, and people must fight hard to get what they want. That's kind of like teenage life, because if you waste your teenage life not studying and doing things that you care about, when you grow up, you don't achieve your dreams. And in line 6, I wrote tic-tac, the time fastly counts. And I know, but it's my computer. Fastly counts. I wanted to refer to the people squeeze fruits and juice leak out and making the sound of tic-tac while it is the same sound that of time ticking. And I made sure we had 8 syllables in each line, and the rhythm structure was A B A B C D C D. Hold on. Jinyao, you have to go to the next page.
Next slide.
Can you open the door? Thank you.
It looked like something went wrong.
What can we do?
The flows. Okay, just read your part.
Oh, okay, it's done now. It's okay now.
Okay.
Can you go to? Okay.
So for my first stanza,
Um,
the poem was written as a lyrical poem with where each of the next corresponding lines rhymes with the next. There is also use of simile in each line. The poem describes what it's like going to school as a teenager and as a perspective of a student. It's reminiscent of a hallway at school where student is confined in a dark and cold hallway. I contextualize it as a feeling of loneliness in each verse. I also describe how time in the hallway is endless. Time passes without you noticing because you're alone. I also use the ABABCDCD rhythm structure as a reference when creating the poem. And just, yep.
Okay, now we have to thank them. Thank you everyone for watching our presentation. We hope you gained a more deep understanding of the background and lyrical analysis in When We Two-Parted, and I hope you guys enjoyed our poems and had more understanding of what teenage life is like if you guys forgot what it's like. Goodbye.